journey. The audio may contain coarse language and other materials that may not be suitable for younger audience. The opinions expressed in this audio are solely those of the speakers involved. These conversations may contain spoilers for current media such as games, comics, movies, television shows, and more. Chronic Geeks makes no claim to ownership of the various media discussed, simply the opinions expressed. Listener discretion is advised.
I'm gonna figure out how to get a green screen for you so we can open up and be in our lowrider. Mention that now I kind of want to have a little lowrider running somehow.
Some little bobbleheads or something.
Right. Let's see. Okay, so I need to try to do this a little different, and I need to make sure. See, this is locked, and I don't know why it's locked. There we go. Okay. I got to figure out why the default is set to lock. So let me throw this in group real quick so everybody will know we're here. We get our regulars because I know they've been wondering where we at. So bam, I will post that. All right. Welcome. We are Grown A Geeks. This is Weigh In Wednesday. You are awesome for being here. We're just gonna let the music play because I like it. We'll fade it out. It was on loop and I forgot. So it was about to start playing the music all over again. Like, wait a minute, don't do that. Awesome. All righty. So what's going on, man? We got us a FanCastIt tonight. We're gonna be talking about gargoyles. I was really hoping we would go get to talk Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm shocked, but I'm not shocked. I thought you would have seen it.
Honestly, bro, I've been working so much and doing so much. I haven't been able to make time to really like get to the movies to see really anything. I think the next thing I'm gonna go see. I mean, I've heard good things about Guardians, so I'm gonna try. But I feel like the next thing I'm gonna end up seeing, like that, I'm gonna really make time for is Fast and Furious.
Yeah,
that's like my for sure got to see it in theaters because
absolutely
car crashes like it ain't the same on the plane. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, you got to see that one on the big screen, and I will say it's. Despite it being so ridiculous, they've like leaned all the way into ridiculousness.
Yeah, for sure.
And
I mean, I respect it.
I love it. Honestly, I really enjoy what they're doing with the franchise, and it's kind of like, you know, if this is a send off, if number 10 is going to be the last one, then you know, like, I hope it closes out just as well for them.
I mean, I think the thing about it is, like, at a certain point, the Fast and the Furious franchise realized what it is and accepted what it is and leaned into that more. And I think that really, I think it endeared it to like the fans, right? Because a lot of times what you see is like, you'll see like a movie have, you know, surprising success, right? And so then they build some sort of IP around it, or it's an IP that already exists in some other form, but the success of that independent or smaller film kind of garners more interest into whatever that existing IP is. So you either want to create a world or you want to like go deeper into some world that's already been created, right? But a lot of times what happens is as as different IPs do that, they start catering to a different audience than the one that they were originally catered to when they created the IP, right? It's like now we're worried about crossing over. Now we're worried about hitting numbers. Now we're worried about what moms in Nebraska think. Now we're worried about what the LGBT community thinks. Now we're worried about like all these different things that probably were not on the radar when the original lore was being created, right? So I think that, yeah, I just think that that's why like so many movies just end up being like the first one was good, but then it just got weird. Like think about Ninja Turtles, right?
Yeah.
The first Ninja Turtles movie is actually a really good movie. Even as ridiculous as the concept is, it was a good movie because they took the material seriously. Like I always talk about that. They took the material seriously. And it was like, yes, even in this world, it's crazy for there to be 4 giant turtles and a giant rat, right? Like, but we see that addressed on camera. But then once people get past that, each turtle, it has like their own personality. They all like are allowed to feel and affect the story in different ways, et cetera, et cetera. And the second one, it's just like everybody came in like, I'm just trying to get my jokes off. I just want the turtles to say one of my jokes. We're trying to sell toys. You know, we bringing down the rating so that we can appeal to like a demographic that was not the target demographic of the original thing. But even though they weren't, like there was already a thing for little kids with Ninja Turtles, right?
Right.
Like the cartoon. That was for little kids, and that was fine. But the movie was not really for little kids. The movie was more for like preteen, high school. And as that audience grew up and that franchise like regressed down into a different like age group and the age group that it was trying to appeal to. And so it's one of those franchises where it's like with Marvel, right? You can grow up with Marvel. You can watch, you know, the little kiddie ones that's on Disney Plus and on Disney XD for kids in the morning, like with the big feet and the big heads, right?
Yeah.
Then when you grow into your like tweenhood, you can go into like an X-Men animated series, or even shoot X-Men Evolution, even beyond that, because it's actually like them in high school, right? But then as you become an adult, you can watch X-Men the animated series. You can watch the MCU. You can read more mature comic books and comic stories that are being told in the MCU. So the TV shows that are on Disney Plus. So it is, you know, it's really what they refer to as like a 4-quadrant property where you can affect all of the major marketing quadrants that any product or any IP wants to hit. But it's because the material is there to captivate that fan base. As they grow up, you grow up with it. Whereas with Ninja Turtles, I feel like everything with Ninja Turtles has just gotten like younger and younger and younger. But it's like for me, the only Ninja Turtles thing I can really go back to and enjoy would be the original cartoon, which I can't find anywhere.
Okay.
In the first movie. You know what I mean?
So when they came out with the second set of movies, the second,
when they came out with Secret movies. of the ones where they were CGI.
Yeah.
You know what? I did not think that those were terrible stories, but the CGI, I feel like
a little distracting.
It was too slick. You know what I mean? Like Ninja Turtles, like they live in the sewer.
It's grimy.
It's you know, and like you know, the villain's name is Shredder, not Slicer. Like you got a bunch of knives on him, but he's all slick and shiny and glowing. Like the original Shredder, like some of them things was bent because he was, you know what I'm saying? He was putting them blades through people, and like he was battle tested.
I mean, in the cartoon, now not the cartoon, but the original comics, you know what I'm saying? Eastman, like that was a raw comic. Like that was real grimy. You know what I'm saying? And the Turtles was, you know, they was like really talented thugs, you know what I'm saying? Because like they was out there jacking folk. Like they was when they would go to save somebody was getting beat down.
Yeah, for sure.
And they have weapons that got used. So I mean, I understand the we've discussed,
and they got used in the first movie.
Yeah,
right. Like the foot soldier fights, like all those things are like serious. People was getting hurt in that movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean there was kicks, there was connections and whatnot. And mind you, just the violence rating, because they were still trying to market it to children. They were still mindful of the violence.
It wasn't no blood.
Right. Like they were still mindful of the violence, and nobody got cut with the katana, nobody got stabbed with the saw, but they got bopped with that bow staff. They got cracked with the nunchucks. You know what I'm saying? There was still like the element of actual fighting that was in place. But in the comics, nah, folks was getting murdered. They was putting hands on people for sure. And I think to your point, like a lot of it is definitely always a money game, and it's always the numbers. And sometimes the success of something can be its own downfall, because instead of doing, like, if this is,
you just get more cooks in the kitchen.
Well, absolutely. You take something, this was good, this worked, and it appealed to a number of people. And like you said, well, how do we get more people? How do we make more money? And it's that, in a sense, it's almost like that greed starts to take away from what was good, because now they're adding elements that don't need to be added so that they can try to appeal to more groups, to bring in a bigger fandom.
Or they're taking things away.
That too.
Because here's the thing. Little kids saw the original Ninja Turtles movie as is. Yeah. They used to show that shit to us in school.
Right.
And they would just fast forward past the cussing parts and we'd be on our way. It was only 2. And then we'll be like on our way just watching the movie. But in the movie, we watching them fight. We watching, all this crazy stuff happen. We watching them burn down April O'Neil's apartment. But we kids and we watching this.
Yeah.
And so once you're not realizing, I think a lot of times it's something else I've been thinking about, especially with animation, how much adults can underestimate what kids can handle, right? I feel like most people think that cartoons should be funny and zany and have some sort of crazy element, which is interesting because the cartoon that we're going to talk about today and do the FanCastIt for, it was a serious cartoon that had humor in it, but humor was not, it wasn't the Animaniacs, it wasn't Looney Tunes, it wasn't, Tiny Toon Adventures, it wasn't any Freakazoid, anything where humor is the main vehicle of the property, right? This is a cartoon that's telling a very serious story, like a folktale of lore. It's like a comic book story, and you just really don't. There was a time where you saw more shows like that for kids, shows where there were actual stakes sometimes, and I think it's just interesting now that a lot of the cartoons that even would have characters where we were used to seeing them at higher stakes, the edges get sanded off. It's a lot of just kind of goofy stuff. And
yeah,
don't get me wrong, I like those things, but at times I do think about how watching some of those more serious cartoons kind of just shaped how I thought about adulthood. You know what I mean? Seeing cartoons with adults solving problems and X-Men, they're not kids in the original cartoon. This is grown people dealing with government issues and you know what I'm saying, and fighting real battles. And I just feel you know what I'm saying, I wonder what exposure to stuff like that really, I wonder what being exposed to stuff like that does to children versus having Teen Titans Go instead of Teen Titans or Justice League. You know what I mean?
I mean, I think a great example of that is Thundercats, when you take the original Thundercats as it was, that show, there was, the normal amount of 80s violence in cartoons, as they fought Mum-Ra and the Lizard Man, and what I'm saying, like the forces of Mum-Ra and whatnot. When they tried to revisit and reboot the show in, I think it was like 2013, 2014, somewhere right around there. And it was on Cartoon Network. The style changed. Everything was it had like a very heavy martial arts anime influence, because that's what was popular at the time. So I'm not faulting them for it. I watched it, and I've made the comment more than once that after we saw Keanu Reeves do Kung Fu in The Matrix, it became acceptable for anybody to be a martial artist. You know what I'm saying? And when we see Thundercats return, fighting the way they're fighting in the cartoon, then it was kind of like, oh, well, look at this. This is a thing. This is happening. But then you look up and you see Thundercats Go, or Thundercats Roar. Right. And it's like, that's one of those things where it's like, I actually watched it. I watched Thundercats Roar. I watched the Aquaman animated thing they did in a similar style. And that one actually had like a story to it, but it still didn't seem to have the traction. And I think, as you pointed out, it has a lot to do with kind of that target audience.
Right.
And with that target audience, the way they view it versus the way others view it. And so the mass, the public, the general public, they didn't jump in and they didn't fall in love with it. And as a result, it didn't stick around. It wasn't able to hang on. And, it's one of those things. So anytime you make that drastic change, because it's funny, as long as Teen Titans Go has been on, there's still a number of people that will still only make the comparison between Teen Titans versus Teen Titans Go, and probably aren't really giving it a chance the way they should, because I'm gonna tell you, Teen Titans Go is hilarious.
No, it's a good show. It's a really good show.
It's so funny. And if I think if more people would, kind of give it a chance, they could appreciate it and they could enjoy it.
But you know what it is? I think that it's not just that. It's not about really even, they're not mad. I don't think people are mad really about the quality of Teen Titans Go. I think it was more like when they did Teen Titans Go, and then it's like, as good as Adventure Time is, you have that, and then you have, every cartoon was like sillily drawn, crudely drawn, and you kind of feel like, if you're somebody who kind of like is still a fan of traditional animation styles, to see those kind of just like going by the wayside, and in some ways like the quality of the art work diminishing, but kind of only being about the writing, I kind of started feeling a little, I get why people might feel put off. And then I feel like Teen Titans Roar was just like the straw that broke the camel's Thundercats Roar. Yeah. That was just like the straw that broke the camel's back. Because if you look at like all the cartoons on Cartoon Network at that point, they kind of are in that same vibe. I feel like the most classically drawn ones would have been like Steven Universe, which is, I wouldn't say is like classically drawn, and they like those characters are not like humanoid, like you would say like an X-Men character would be. You know what I mean?
Right. Or honestly, I think like something like Clarence,
right?
Where what was it? Clarence, Uncle Grandpa.
Yeah. See, like Uncle Grandpa was like absurd, right?
Right.
Like that was in the absurd style. But I feel like Clarence was like, it's a little absurd, but it makes sense for the world that it's in. But then you had like Steven Universe, where it was like, all right, this all is a lot more cohesive. And like I would say, like Craig of the Creek is the same. Yeah. I think Craig of the Creek does a good job of like really paying homage to a lot of classic animation styles with just different special episodes that they've done on top of that. But I think that just like across the board, you look up and there's like no classic looking animation styles. And if that's something that you like and really enjoy, where you like things like Gargoyles and X-Men, and I would say even like Avatar, even though that's heavily anime influenced, but like the people, the design of the characters is like familiar and it's not as exaggerated and distorted. So I think like a lot of times it's not even about the fact that the silly one exists. It's about the fact that that seems to be the only thing that's out there if you want to watch like animation. You know what I mean? And yeah, the art style does, like for me, art style will always matter. It's part of the reason why people like, I can't believe you haven't watched like Rebels and Clone Wars because the stories are so good. And I'm just like, I get that, but just like that soft putty animation 3D style just doesn't grasp me at all. Like I just can't latch on to it. I can't get past it. And it's not that I hate 3D animation, because I would like Minions. I like, Pixar stuff. I like all that stuff. But I also feel like it's very like cinematic as opposed to like something for a TV show. Okay. So sometimes the art style is something I can't get past. But I would like to see like, I don't want to see that like Disney style go to the wayside. Even the like and that doesn't mean just like the princess type movies where they're drawing humans, but I mean even just like classic looking characters like Mickey, like Donald, like Bugs and Daffy and things like that. The kind of descent into the grotesque sometimes is a lot for me. Just because I want to see a variety of things. So.
And that makes sense. I can understand that. The art style for some shows is absolutely a turnoff, and it I get that. And it's not until you've watched so many episodes that you are just kind of adjusted to it, and that's just how it is, so you're okay with it. But there will be times where, maybe you never really make that adjustment, because like I'm okay with the way the characters are drawn in Gumball because of the randomness of everything that happens in Gumball. You accept that world is very random. So they have a digitally 3D animated balloon character.
Mm-hmm.
They have a stop motion claymation character. They have like the annoying orange kind of character. They have the one character that's like the chin upside down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, just because of the variety and the randomness of that show, that art style kind of matches, even though there's nothing that's really cohesive about it. It is the randomness that makes it cohesive.
Yeah.
You know that anything can happen. You can see anything. And they switch it up even with an episode. Because there's an episode where the mom is fighting her high school rival, and they like change the whole animation style to like a straight anime because they're fighting. And then, there's one where like I think the video store clerk, like the one guy who has every job in the town, they go to return.
He has like the hexagon head.
Right. They go to return a video or something, and he ends up with the remote, and they change art styles like 5-6 times in an episode because there's a remote control involved in the different things that are happening and taking place. In comparison, you take something like, we'll just stick with Cartoon Network, regular show had to grow on me. I did not initially. It wasn't until I started hearing some of the jokes and kind of starting to catch what was going on, that I was like, okay, let me go back and check some of this out. Even Steven Universe, honestly, had to grow on me, because when those first few, like that first season, that could be a rough watch.
It was kind of this weird formula that Cartoon Network cartoons had, which was like season 1 is just random one-off episodes, but we're building this world, we're introducing all these random characters, and then when we come in like season 2 or maybe even season 3, but usually like some point in season 2, now we're getting some cohesive story that's being told
Right.
about like some lore that connects all the characters. But you end up appreciating like those early episodes after you've seen how they tie back in after the fact.
Right.
But it was, I do think that was like this weird, it was a weird thing that like I feel like all the Cartoon Networks, because like Adventure Time did that.
It was
Steven
almost
Universe
like
did that. Craig of the Creek did that too.
You had to make your pitch, and season 1 was independent.
Yeah.
And if it did well, they picked it up, and then you had a budget, and it improved because now you had a team of artists, a team of, you know what I'm saying? You had enough people to actually put out the quality of content you may have had in your head all along, but it was like you had to prove yourself and get through that first season. So a lot of those first seasons were kind of rough. And there was a thing at one point they had like cartoon and Attack a Cartoon, and they did that for a while where they would just like show you a random episode of this to see how it did, and if it did well, you might, because the Adventures of Flapjack, that's how that came along. Chowder, no, Chowder was Nickelodeon, I think.
No, Chowder was Cartoon Network.
Chowder was Cartoon, okay. And so it was just like they would have these random episodes, and you would catch like episode 1, then maybe episode 4, then maybe episode 6. So every episode had to be independent and standalone because you couldn't tell a story over episodes. You couldn't go back to recurring jokes because this may be the only time somebody sees this. Now, Adult Swim tried that formula as well. And a lot of those that stuck because they would have, you might get a week of a show. And if
oral.
If people weren't feeling it, then you moved on from that. But if people liked it, you end up with like 3 seasons of Super Gel or Squidbillies, or you know what I'm saying? But like there was one like Xandar, Renegade Angel. I don't know what that was. I was like, I don't know what fever dream somebody had with that.
Some of that stuff was like, I can't get with this.
Yeah, it's Children's Hospital, Tim and Eric show, great job. Like,
yeah, nah. Like the weirdest thing I probably watched on Adult Swim was like Shin Chan.
I remember Shin Chan. I think the weirdest thing I watched initially, because I didn't know anything about it, was when I watched that Parasite or Paranoia Agent, I think it was. Yeah, Paranoia Agent. Little kid riding around on a skateboard with a bat, and the bat's all bent and bloody, and like it's just a really creepy little anime.
Yeah, I never watched any of the serious stuff on Adult Swim. Just the funny stuff. I probably was just more like Robot Chicken. I like Moral Oral, but that was like short. Every now and then I could do Squidbillies, but depending on what I smoked that day. Some days Squidbilly just not gonna cut it for me.
No, I absolutely get that. That was not always gonna do it for you. I'm gonna hit Ty up one more time. I'm gonna try. Let me see if I can hit him with a video call. Just to actually do it from my phone, because he may have to come in and do like a separate post video just to let us know.
That's cool.
Excuse me. But let me see if I can reach out to him real quick. I tried hitting up Dee to see if she wanted to get in. David and Linda are out having game night, so letting them have the night off there enjoying. And I don't know. I think the next 5th Friday, we're just going to take the next 5th Friday off and have us, or 5th Wednesday, because we do weigh-in Wednesday, not weigh-in Fridays. So we're trying to call Ty right now. We'll see if he answers. And if not, then we will move on. We will rock on, and probably let you guys get out of here. Xavier Art Andrew. No, it was like, is that the Xavier? That the Renegade Angel show? Mark the Beat chiming in.
Oh,
I think that's
tell him get in here.
Yeah, I know he got some stuff he can talk about. So okay, it says this video call. I'm gonna have some words with Ty. Thought he was going to jump on with us, but let me see. Post the link again. So come on, DJ Fashion X, gonna hop in here, man. You can do this. I'm sure you watch Gargoyles. You watch everything. And I know you can talk Guardians with me. But let's see. So something very interesting. You know what? I will do this. I've been playing with some different little AI things that are out there, just because I need to be prepared when the computers take over. I need to know how it all works. And
it's already done, brother.
So I ran a FanCastIt through the AI to see who the AI would pick.
Oh wow. All right, so I need to make a column for the AI. We are acknowledging its sentience.
No, you don't even have to. I was just gonna like spit out what they had right there at the end as a little East, not like a little.
No, I'm gonna put it on the list because I want to know. I want to know if people think the AI did a better job than we did. If Ty is not on, I'm gonna just replace his slot with the AI, and that'll be our third.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, this doesn't work. I don't know if they were going for like voice acting, but I specifically told it needed to be live action. And
no, it's cool because I want to embarrass AI. Like I want people to understand.
We needed to.
We can't do what we do.
Right. And it's funny because, of course, it tried to have the little disclaimer. Well, I don't have an opinion. Like, I forget what the actual script said, but it was like, well, I'm not a real person, so I can't give an opinion. But these are some people that could play. I was like, okay, stop it. It almost feels like those little video shorts. If Google was a real person, used to come on Funny or Die.
Yep.
You see the guy with the glasses. You type something in, and he's the person that's responding. I think that's right. How it goes. Let's see. Pull that out the way. Oh, let me not close that. Let's see if I still have it. I don't think I have it up. I think I closed all of those windows. Yep, I did. Actually, you know what? No, because if I pull it back up, I can read off. Yep, I know how I can do it. Because you have to log in. So I am logged in. And as a result, it's going to pull up my last one. And I can see the conversation I was having from earlier. And yep, there it is. It has given me some interesting questions, though. Like when I'm like looking for interview questions and stuff, it's giving me some decent questions. So, but I mean, it just scours the internet for everything. So, yeah, it says as an AI language model, I do not have personal opinions or beliefs. However, the casting for Disney's Gargoyles can be done by a team of experienced casting directors who specialize in live action films and television shows.
See, that's that thing the robots say. So he make it seem like he not gonna kill you,
right?
Then he kill you.
And then it comes right behind it and says, I don't have a personal preference, but here are some actors who could possibly star in a live action Gargoyles movie. Then it goes off to list a lot of characters. You know what? It did not. And then I even fed it when I was like, okay, if this person was in it, who would play the other roles? And you know what I noticed? It did not. So the people we casted were, what was my notepad? So we said we were going to go, since we're doing Gargoyles, we said Goliath. Is it Eliza
Goliath,
or Eliza? Eliza. Spell with an S, it threw me off.
Oh, Elise. It's hard because it's hard because it's like there's people with with different accents saying it.
Right. So we have Goliath, Elisa, Demona,
Demona, Xanatos,
and Hudson.
I couldn't, you know why? Because I was trying to figure out which one of the other gargoyles to pick. And I picked Hudson because he was the clan leader before Goliath. So I felt like that role would be really important because it's going to be like that mentorship role to the Goliath character. And it has a large part of the like humor element as well. Because I feel like he's got like a unique perspective on adjusting to the comforts of the new world that they live in.
Right. And seeing like, thinking about the characters, who was it? Lexington and Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
Those were, so which one was the really young one? That was Lexington, right?
Lexington, yeah.
Okay. See, like a character like Lexington in the first live action movie, he needs to be somebody, depending on, the story that's being told. He's the youngest one, so I feel like he won't have as much screen time. So I get what you're saying as far as like
he's not actually the youngest one. He's just smaller than them. But Brooklyn, Brooklyn, Lexington,
Broadway.
And Broadway, they're all Rookery brothers, which means they all like are the same age.
Okay, so that's the trio.
Yeah, they're like the next generation of like hatchlings after Goliath and Demona.
Okay, and there's like what 100-year difference between them or something.
I'm not that much of a gargoyles expert.
No. I mean, like I only can even bring that up because, of course, I had to do a little bit more research to get a better understanding of the character, so I could, accurately cast. Because Gargoyles, the time that it ran was. I was a senior in high school. I was graduating. Remember, I'm a little bit older, so it was like it wasn't I've seen many episodes because I'm a big ass kid, and I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. I'm gonna watch it, but it wasn't like one of the things I had to catch regularly. I want to say at that time, I was like, I was probably like all into my Dragon Ball Z at this point. You know what I'm saying? I was like really getting on that anime train, and. So it's like something like this would have been when nothing else was on, or I was flipping channels and I caught it.
Right.
And depending on what time was this a Fox Kids show?
No, this was Disney, and it was like Disney, part of the. So it's like how Disney had the Disney Afternoon, early '90s, DuckTales, Tailspin, all that stuff. This is kind of like part of that second revival where it was like Quack Pack. There was a Mighty Ducks cartoon where it was like a team of alien ducks. Then they did a lot of
ducks who not only played hockey but also saved the world.
Yeah, and then they did a lot of like cartoon. They did a lot of animated movie adaptations into TV shows. So they did one for like Aladdin. They did one for Little Mermaid. They did a Timon and Pumbaa one. There was just like a lot of like kind of content that they were making. Also, just kind of recycling that animation. So. Gargoyles was like part of that revival. It was like also shows like Recess came out during that point. You're talking about like Fillmore, just a lot of interesting. And so it was like also just packaged differently, but it was an after school like cartoon where I was from. But it was one of those things where it was like the way that the show was purchased. It was like check your local listings, which means this was bought as a package by a local affiliate that's going to play it at this point in time because it didn't come on ABC. It came on like, I want to say in Georgia, it came on UPN. Okay. So it was just interesting. But it was a good show. Like it was kind of like serious in tone, but I think the way that they mixed fantasy and real and modern life, I think gave it kind of this appeal in a time where like if you're at an age where you're learning about mythology and all that kind of stuff in school and you're having to read these like Shakespeare stories and you're trying to understand like what these people act like, sound like, I felt like Gargoyles was kind of a good tool for me in just understanding like a lot of that stuff a lot more. There's like a lot of mythology that's covered throughout the course of the different seasons and different types of mythology from different places around the world as well. So I think, I think even just like there's only one weird thing about it, and it is what it is. But the kind of Elisa Gargoyle, Goliath like romantic undertone has always been bizarro.
That falls in the same category as any Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, for sure. Except he's not. Yeah, it's weird.
There's no spell that's going to turn him human.
Well, no, there was actually an episode. There's
the
actually
mirror. Now that one I remember because I do know that at one point she turns into a gargoyle.
Yes,
and he turns into a human.
Yes. Well, it was like the whole world because she asked for like Demona makes this wish for like the world to be full of gargoyles. But what that does is it turns all the humans to gargoyles and it turns all the gargoyles to humans. So even still, she's still like an outcast. And then there's a point where Macbeth puts a curse on Demona. And so she actually lives as a human during the daytime and turns into a gargoyle at night. So she's like, she hates him. She's actually a really fascinating character because she hates humans so much, but she's definitely in that Magneto camp where it's like, but she's right. Like she's been terrorized and hunted for thousands of years. Like she has every right to feel how she feels. And then her man comes back and falls in love with a human. Like, nah.
Yeah, all humans got to go. No, I absolutely get it. And that was actually where I started my casting. As I was going through, I figured she was such a vital character that she had to be cast perfectly. And once I knew who I wanted Demona to be, it allowed me to build out the rest of the characters a little bit better.
That's an interesting take.
And oftentimes, whenever we do our FanCastIt, the first thing that comes to mind is I always look at like the central character, like who's gonna carry this movie, and that is the person that I have to cast. Once I cast that person, it is easy in my head to then find supporting characters for that. Sometimes there's a particular look, a certain aesthetic that I'm trying to maintain. We did one, and I wanted all the actors to have a certain age range. You know what I'm saying? I needed them to be within a certain age range. So that limited some people that I might have thought about, and I would go and look at them and be like, okay, but they're too old. I want to stay right in here. When we did Thundercats, I was trying to base the characters on the regional location of the animal that they represent. And that was where, it actually created some diversity in that. But it was also like a challenge because I have to find someone that fits in that category. So let me go through this list of actors who are from that location. When I decided who my Demona was going to be, that altered the entire casting. And I still wanted to, try to stay true to the characters. So I spent a good bit of time reading all the wikis and the Disney wikis, and I even watched like 4 episodes a day. And one of just, I was reading through the episode guide to kind of follow the story and know what was happening. And I watched the episode of The Mirror just so I would know. It was a couple of episodes that took place, and season 2 was apparently like one big story because they had so many episodes in season 2.
Yeah,
13 episodes season 1, 13 episodes season 3, 52 episodes in season 2.
Yeah.
Like that's the bulk of the show is season 2. And
well, because it got picked up. It was like people liked it. And so it was, like I said, it was an after school. It was like a weekly show.
Right.
But it was an after school show. It was like Power Rangers. Like Power Rangers episode, like season 1 is like 60 episodes or something like that. Because it's like they showing an episode every day. They need an episode for every day to run for like 5 months.
Yeah.
So that was part of the reason why season 2 has such a big order amount.
And that would be, it would actually be less daunting in this modern age of being able to stream and having, on-demand access and things like that. you could probably get through a show like Gargoyles relatively easy in comparison. Once upon a time where you had to wait and watch an episode a day.
Yeah. I will admit it was very hard unless you like if it was in a phase where it was like it is coming on at the same time every single day, then like yeah, you could really get into like following along with the story. But it was like those times where it was like it got moved or it got bumped for something, and you just
I've actually
don't
lost
know when it came back.
I have stopped watching shows as a result of that because everything.
It's why I've never seen Dragon Ball. It's why I've never watched like an extended amount of Dragon Ball Z because I didn't have cable, and the only experience I've had with Dragon Ball was like it coming on every Saturday. That's not an every Saturday show. Like that's an everyday show because I can't. I'm not waiting another week for these to charge up looking at each other.
And then
for you to tell me at the end of the episode that they really gonna fight next week. And you've been telling me that for 3 weeks. I can't.
Yeah, with all the filler, I can absolutely see how that's a problem.
But yeah, the thing. I mean, I think that's another good thing about like Gargoyles. I will say it doesn't really have like filler. You know what I mean? There's interesting side stories, but everybody kind of gets their own time to shine. Yeah, it's just fascinating to me that they chose to tell such a serious story to kids. But I think, that X-Men, Avatar, there's so many like examples of that. And I think it kind of is just like a testament to like just more serious subject matter for kids is not like necessarily a bad thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's almost helpful. Having I won't say the challenging, but, having unique situations kind of broken down in a way that is a little bit more relatable to kids, it does allow them to be introduced to themes and talk about stuff that might be a little bit more difficult. And I'm not saying that, the television needs to raise anybody. And we're unfortunately kind of getting back to, I remember in the early 80s, they used to talk about the electronic babysitter. Don't let your kids sit in front of the TV. We got away from that for a little while. And now we're back to it because, you see 2-year-olds with tablets. And so, but it's also like, it's not only the exposure to the content, but it's also like the content that is available is a little bit different. I mean, you've got, obviously there's some hits, there's some misses. So I'm not going to like just give everything a free pass and say it's all great. I don't know what the hell Blippi is, but apparently Blippi is like great and teaching something versus, versus, you know what I'm saying? When I think back, I think some of the good stuff was like your Blue's Clues, you know what I'm saying? That's a good one. And then you have those types of shows where they do touch on mature themes and maybe not you may not get like the death theme or something like that, but you do get like, my friend is moving away and I'm going to be sad. And this is how I deal with that loss. Yeah. And so anytime you can introduce themes like that and something like Gargoyles where you see like the first like 3 episodes, or no, it's a 5-part miniseries is the opener. And it is the kingdom is like the year 900 or something, or 994, I think is the year, or like 997 or something like that. And the castle is being overrun. There's the Vikings are coming to attack. Demona is supposed to get the gargoyles away from the castle. They come in, they attack. It happens that because she couldn't convince the gargoyles to leave, they attacked while the gargoyles statues were in their stone form. A lot of them got destroyed. And so when Goliath comes back, he sees like his family's gone, and he doesn't know that Demona has anything to do with it, but he just thinks everybody's dead.
Angel of the night.
Right. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like it gets to be pretty interesting. So a spell is put on him, and he's gonna sleep until the castle sits above the clouds or something like that. Fast forward 1,000 years, David Xanatos buys the castle, builds it on top of his skyscraper. Now, because the castle is above the clouds, the spell is broken. All the gargoyles come to life. Now we got a TV show. Hell of an opening, hell of an intro. Just reading it was like, damn, this is good reading. Like,
yeah, no, it's really, and I'll say it's a really
fantastic story.
It's really good storytelling, and
it really
how is. It's like how all of the main characters meet is it makes sense. It makes sense why they're all like intertwined. So you meet Elisa because Xanatos, obviously every rich man is kind of a crook.
He's that universe's Lex Luthor.
Lex Luthor. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So yeah, so obviously that means we need our Lois Lane-esque character,
right?
And so that's where we get Elisa,
someone
who's
to
a police
thwart
officer,
his evil doings.
And it makes sense why she would be like around him and warning the gargoyles about him, because she knows what he's really up to. She's been investigating him, and he's just one of those slippery type characters. So I would say like that kind of triangle between Elisa, the gargoyles, Goliath. It makes sense why Demona hates all humans, but it makes sense why she really hates Elisa when you learn about her and Goliath's relationship. I mean, and even in episodes later on where they actually show like when she was not Demona, what and how she became that. Like, and I think her character development, like as a villain, was really, really strong, because they introduce her as like, she's crazy, she's out of control, she's a bad guy, like whoop-de-whoop. But like you see some of those early episodes where they go back to the times before everything happened, and you see them, flying through the night sky, like on romantic dates and all kinds of stuff. But then you see what she go, because the thing that you learn is she is not put under the curse.
Right.
So she actually lives out those 1,000 years while the rest of the gargoyles are in stone. And she's basically been on the run because she's essentially a monster. And she's a monster in Europe in a time where there's witch hunters and monster hunters and all types of things where they don't believe and trust gargoyles. Also because they felt like, I think it like spread like there was some sort of gargoyle betrayal and things like that. So there were people hunting her.
Viking attack.
Yeah. So there were people hunting her for like 1,000 years. Later on, we meet a character, Macbeth, who literally is like an immortal who's been hunting her for like thousands of years. And it's just such a fascinating, I feel like it was a fascinating lore that they created. And I just really, I really enjoy watching that show a lot.
Well, I will say just from the reading that I did to properly cast and prepare, because I did not watch all of the episodes, I have not seen the entire series. I needed to really familiarize myself with the characters. I went as far as to find out, like, what are the best episodes to watch to learn about Demona? What are the best episodes to watch to learn about Eliza? What are the best, you know what I'm saying? Like those their greatest hits, a reel or a montage of like, because Hudson was a character. Like I knew who Hudson was. I didn't know which character Hudson was by name, but I knew who that was. Once I found out, like, oh, that's Hudson. Okay, cool. Him I know. You have the electronic guy, you have the old grumpy guy, you have the comic relief guy, you have the second in command. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I kind of see the trio in Hudson in a weird way. In my mind, they're like, I kind of made them Ninja Turtles. Like those four, they fit those four character tropes, that archetype for those types of characters. And I was able to say, okay, so you're him, you're him, you're him. Okay, cool. Now I understand how these characters need to be, so I could write for them. I could cast them properly. I actually had a good time with Hudson, and looking at some of his like his greatest hits, a reel of like some of his best moments, not to be slept on. Like you said, he used to be the clan leader. That's your Uncle Iroh. You know what I'm saying? Like
exactly.
don't get it twisted.
Yeah,
He might not be the head of the clan, but he was. So don't
right.
confuse who he is. He's still that dude. Xanatos was a very easy character to understand. Like I said, just that universe is Lex Luthor. Demona, lot of stuff on Demona. Eliza didn't need as much for her, and Goliath didn't need as much for him. Those were pretty. Those are very clear archetypes, and it was not difficult to get an understanding of them. I think for Goliath, the big issue for him is going to be the look and the sound. You just have to get that character right.
Yeah.
A good actor can bring Goliath to life. But if I don't look at you and think of Goliath, it ain't going to work.
Yeah, I think it was interesting to me because it's like the Gargoyles casting is going to have to be really a combination of voice and looks casting. Whereas I think, how they probably would end up doing it in real life would be just CGI and then pick whoever they want to play the voices. But I would imagine if you did something kind of like what they did with Josh Brolin in like Infinity War, where he's on the stilts, he's got the mocap dots on his face, but in the room actually acting with these actors and things like that. I really think that's something that would be like my approach to doing something like this. And
that was what I did. I was thinking Mark Ruffalo and the Hulk.
Right.
Like exactly. you get the actual, like the Hulk looks like Mark Ruffalo if Mark Ruffalo was the Hulk.
Yeah.
And that's what you need. So in my mind, I was like, Goliath needs to look like the actor so that the actor can actually act.
Or at least have a palette, at least have like a foundation that can be built on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because Thanos looks like Josh Brolin, but like there's
he looks
a lot.
Like Thanos.
Yeah, there's a lot being done to that to kind of facilitate him kind of keeping that humanity. You know what I mean?
And a lot of it is just those micro dots you mentioned. You know what I'm saying? A lot of that mocap is not to make the character look like the character. It's literally just for the face tracking to be able to get those little subtle nuances in movement, that twitching of the eye, that raising of the cheek, that smirk. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To get
just
those
have
types
the mouth
of things.
looking natural, like while they're talking and stuff like that.
So, right, as opposed to having weird ass CGI lips and stuff.
Or amazing orange Superman mouth.
Like money. Like my man, they just could have like paused shooting. They just should have paid to let him cut the mustache. Anyway, because I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm already gonna have to like deal with this whole Flash bit. I'm not doing anything I don't have to.
Yeah.
So, okay. So let's go ahead and just hop into our casting. I would like for you to. I will give not necessarily a synopsis of my story. Like the story is, it'll be whatever the story is. But I am curious, and since we both kind of mentioned it, what was so you're going with a CGI mocap hybrid?
Yes.
Okay. I'm doing the same. And like I said, I want you to think Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk. That is the type of mocap CGI I'm looking for. And who do you want to start with? What character do you want to start with? Do we want to start with the Goliath? Okay. Do you want the AI's Goliath first?
Sure.
Let's see. The AI said, let me pull that up. The AI thought Digimon Hansu as Goliath. And
I was
like, okay.
That's definitely a voice pick.
That is absolutely a voice pick. And see, it's like I'm wondering, but my question specifically says live action.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I
that
guess you could do it, but I think that's a pick that's like more about the voice.
oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Because I've never really heard him do it. I haven't heard him do a British accent. Isn't he French?
I believe he is.
Yeah. I feel like, yeah. All right, you're off to a bad start, AI. Let's move on.
Beninese. He's a Beninese. And
Yeah, that's a French colony.
Come to Benin. Yep. I'm like, where's Benin?
Benin.
Benin.
It's like West Africa.
But yeah, French colony, as you said. Okay. So for me, and I was thinking, like I said, this one to me was not a hard pick. This was just, I need a large actor. I need a good actor. I need someone imposing who can like command the room. Winston Duke. Because I do actually need somebody that can like he's the main character. So I, unless I just luck up with a unknown who can do it, I needed somebody that could actually like carry the movie if necessary. But the heavy lifting in my movie comes from Demona.
Okay. I think that's a good pick. That was one I didn't even really consider, but yeah, that's a good pick. I think because I was pretty much sticking with like British actors because I really wanted that authenticity of like Goliath has a very like Shakespearean way of speaking.
Yes.
And so I really wanted to make sure I had someone who could capture that. I figured his size didn't necessarily matter because we're doing CGI. Josh Brolin is not 8 feet tall.
I thought about that. No, and I thought about that. Yeah. I did.
And so, but my guy, he also still kind of has like that squarish head, square jaw look.
Okay.
I'm going with David Ajala. He's an actor. He was in what I know him from is on Supergirl. He played, I forget what the British dude's name is, Union Jack or something like that. And then he was in Star Trek Discovery.
Okay.
The last season or two of that. So yeah, that's my pick for Goliath. And because my story is more like, basically I'm kind of just telling the story of like the first show, which is kind of through Elisa's eyes.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's more like, so she's my star, which is why I don't feel like I need to have like a big name playing Goliath.
No, I get and seeing the focus, the central character, all of that does make a difference. So if your Eliza is going to be your focus, like I said, mine is Demona. Right. But because of who Demona has to interact with, I got to have some people that can like work with that. Okay. I like that pick. I like that look. I can see it. And I can hear his, like, now that I'm seeing him, I'm like, oh yeah, he was in such a, okay. Yeah.
All right, let's see what bad pick the AI made this time.
All right. So for Eliza Maza, the AI said Zendaya.
Maybe AI is not so bad.
Like, and let me just say something. This particular one, I did not. The only instruction I gave the AI for this, let me see. Literally, the question is, who should do a live action casting for Disney's Gargoyles? And then I had to edit my question because it apparently didn't understand. And so I said, which actors should star in a live action Gargoyles movie? This is the list it created as a result.
Yeah, no, it's 100% right. That's mine as well. I think like one, the look, like 100% on point, right?
Yeah.
But two, I think that the voice acting of Sally Richardson Whitfield is overlooked because what she does is she has this range of commanding cop to kind of soft, motherly, sisterly vibe with like the different relationships that she has with the different gargoyles. I think she has there's like a softness and a edge to her, and I think that the action, we know Zendaya can do that. Like, I mean, I watched her on Casey Undercover, so basically I've already seen her play a cop because she played like a spy. We've seen her and who had a secret life, so she understands that vibe. She understands the big budget action movie, being in Dune and being in Spider-Man. She understands the IP, part of the Disney family. This is like, okay, Disney, we're getting behind. This is Disney getting behind Zendaya.
Oh yeah,
like,
without doubt.
Hardcore heavy, but like on some serious stuff. You know what I mean? So I think that I don't know. I just don't really. I mean, yes, there's other actresses who could play the role, but it would definitely be one of those things where it's like, you better knock it out of the park, because if you don't, like, people are just gonna be like, man, Zendaya should have played this.
I do see it being a really good vehicle, and I don't even have to say to launch, to catapult. I see it being, if you can attach Zendaya's name to the project as that character, I see somebody being interested in picking it up solely for that purpose. So I get what you're saying as far as like even Disney being behind it for that. Yeah, I think that I would agree with that. I think Zendaya is a good pick. It was definitely a pick I considered. I also, like, honestly, not gonna lie, I considered Zendaya for Demona at one point. But I'm sure, like, in the back of my mind, I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for Zendaya to do villain yet. She would have to like kind of lean towards anti-hero, but Demona
is a lot.
Right. And so it was like, I'll wait. I'll save her for something. I'll save her for another project. And I'm not afraid to throw Zendaya in a good project. I did not see this one being it for her. I actually chose somebody else who, much like you said, can command the room when she needs to. We've seen her range when we saw her play Crazy Jane on Doom Patrol. Diane Guerrero. I think she has a great look for someone like Winston Duke. Some people may be familiar with her on Jane the Virgin.
Also, Orange is the New Black.
Yes, I think that's where a lot of people are probably going to recognize her from immediately. But she's done voice work. She was in Encanto. So I mean, she's I believe talented enough to do this kind of role. I think she can, run with the big ones, because she's been on some decent sets. And just the fact that she was in Encanto, she's got that voice work down. Now she gets to showcase some of the other things that she can do. And she was Isabella. So, you know what I'm saying? Like a main character kind of thing. What I understand for Lysa, the potential love interest for Goliath, she is the cop. She has to be a badass at some points. She also has to be, like you said, approachable and obtainable. So I really like Diane Guerrero for that. Let's see. Did it pick a Demona?
You know what I'm saying? It's going to be really interesting.
Oh, no. It did pick a Demona. Yep. So the AI. You might like this casting. I'm not going to lie. You may like this one. AI thought Lupita It thought Lupita should be Demona. So it's got Digimon, Hansu, Zendaya, and Lupita.
You know,
I think because the AI was talking to me.
Yeah, I was like, I'm doing the all black. I feel like I'm doing the all black casting thing for a different reason than the AI is doing all black casting right now.
I promise you, like if I could, you know what? Matter of fact, I'm just go.
It's feeling very. I don't know. The hotepness is my hotep senses are tingling.
I will say now look, if it's an AI, there is absolutely an algorithm in place, and it
that says all the gargoyles are black people.
Look, and it.
I get it because Elisa Maza is actually like she's Afro-Latina, so
having Zendaya.
I get that look, like the face comparison, et cetera, et cetera. I get that.
Look, the people that casted for Thalog, Fox, Magus. Let me tell you something. I don't know who the hell is sitting on the other side of that computer.
Fox would be interesting, but she would be in my sequel.
Right.
The first movie is definitely just the story of them getting there, but I think having the Wild Pack be the villains in the second movie would be fire. Because then that's when you introduce Fox. Then the third movie is the Avalon, like that Avalon, the Avalon like series saga. It's really
has like Arthur, Pendragon, and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, it's really, really like well written, well done. Like I really enjoyed that.
So I will say this is okay. So Demona. They got Lupita in for Demona. I was like, I've been chatting with this thing too long. They trying to be friends with me.
You're giving away the vibranium.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I gotta stop. But I thought that was a very interesting pick. And just because it's not on the we'll cover that. We'll cover that at the end after we go through.
I will say this: her role in Us definitely got some Demona in it, and it's not a shade to like her as an actress because I definitely think she would be able to absolutely crush the role.
She could carry that movie, and like even in mine, she could carry what I'm going to be putting on for Demona. Because I would probably. My story is going well. Let's get to your Demona, and then when we get to my Demona, I can kind of go into why I centered the movie around Demona.
All right, so my Demona, I wanted, obviously, like I just needed somebody who's going to be a phenomenal actress, a powerhouse actress, who's going to be able to give that Shakespearean, who's going to be able to match that Goliath Shakespearean energy, but with less of the regalness, because Demona, she just has a regular accent. Like her Shakespeareanness has been sanded out over time,
right?
And I cast someone who I've seen just give very like emotionally appropriate performances. I casted Shaniqua Martin Green, who is also from Star Trek Discovery. And I think that the chemistry between her and David Ajala would be phenomenal because they play like a couple on Star Trek. So they have like the experience of like working together where you could get the real feeling of the like undertones of the past relationship. But I think that she just got like a powerful enough presence, a powerful enough voice, and like kind of the right build. Like she has this like kind of regal stature to her where I feel like she would be able to.
I didn't even watch that
toe-to-toe.
Star Trek, and I know who you talk about. Yeah. So yeah, she got the right stature.
Yeah.
She absolutely got the right stature. Okay, yeah, I like I said, you said that name. I knew who that was. So that's I think that definitely makes that a good pick.
And I think she would do good. Her and Zendaya would face off well against one another.
That is a good, yeah. That is a good point. That clash would work really well. Okay. You know what? Let me see if I can let me clip this picture. I'm gonna send this picture to you just because. Actually, you know what? No, I'm just gonna show this picture because this is to the point you make as far as the chemistry between them. This happens to be a scene of your Demona and your Goliath, and I just slap some wings on them right here. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I see it already. This is a very good pick. Let me find that window. Boom.
You hear now, Angel of the Night.
Right. I'm just saying, like, I'm looking at that and I'm like, yeah, that. Because see, it'd be real easy to put the little crown around that and let that go wild.
Yeah. I mean, she's had a new hairstyle every season, so I'm definitely not worried about the wig for Demona because she's looked good with every hairstyle she's worn in Star Trek, from long ass braids to short cuts and whatever. So, but I think, yeah, like I said, I feel like she has a gravitas that the character really needs in order to really be heard and understood. Like, I don't want Demona. Like, Demona can't come across like I'm just doing bad shit to do bad shit, but she's really just like dealing with like a lot of trauma, and she's trying to fight back against a world that basically tried to like kill her. You know what I'm saying?
No,
and there's a seriousness I think that has to come with that I think that Sneak would be able to bring to the role.
Yeah, I'm actually like I'm more familiar with her from Walking Dead. That's where I remember her from, and I know that is the one. She's the captain on the Star Trek show you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
So when she got that, it's just one of those things where like it falls under the Geek umbrella, and I was like, oh hell, good for her. I'm glad. You know what? Good for her. I don't watch Star Trek like that, but I'm still happy for it. We always gonna root for that, and. I have to say, like, I don't think I have yet to really feel like you've had a miss. I mean, there was a little bit of a question with the Will Smith, but
I was flying close to the sun. That was a heat check.
But I will say, as we discussed, and it'll come up when we get to David Xanatos. I thought about that earlier, and we discussed it before the show. I get it. And I can see it now, and I saw it as I was casting this character. Okay, so my Demona. The idea for my movie it's called Gargoyles, but ultimately, I think the biggest story in Gargoyles is Demona's loss. Everything that, like, basically everything that happens, be it good or bad, Demona has a hand in. She's like a central part of everything that takes place. And like for all the other characters, there was like a little bit of a synopsis for them, and you can kind of go through their whole arc in like 3 paragraphs. Demona had like a whole page.
Yeah.
She is the main character of Gargoyles. Everything that took place, everything that happened, I mean, even if we talk about like she's always teaming up with Xanatos when necessary. She teams up. The hunters are coming for her. The only thing that she didn't have even the stuff with Xanatos, she had a direct hand in that. So it's like literally everything that happens is a result of her choices. And I feel like in a weird way, like this, I can't say the story of Gargoyles because there's all these different Gargoyles, there's all these different clans, there's a lot of people to cover. I can't say the story of Gargoyles is her, but I would like to focus on everything that she has done, everything that she has touched. we can cover more of the other stuff in the sequels, and some of it's just going to spill over anyway because it's a part of what happens. You know, the Goliath and Eliza story, that's just going to happen because they're teaming up against her. But she's teaming up with Xanatos. Xanatos is being chased by this detective, and this detective happens to discover these gargoyles who are trying to thwart, you know, what Damona's doing. Like it's just a nice little loop that just goes over and over and over. And it's Damona's my main character. My heavy lifting is going to be done by Rosario Dawson. I think having Rosario Dawson kind of go against a Diane Guerrero. We typically see her in the more heroic or kind of that middle ground place, but we've seen opportunities where she has that dark side. You take Sin City, you take Descent, Alexander.
He got game.
He got, you know what I'm saying? Like there are absolutely movies that show she could be that character. She could be that person. And I think that if the movie kind of focuses on her and we have someone like a Winston Duke as her counterpart, I think the two of them together would have enough chemistry to really like tell this story. And I think he can do, she will probably pull him up. And I think Winston will give a stellar performance because he'll have someone like Rosario Dawson and Diane Guerrero. I think we would get a great movie out of that. Now, all good movies need good villains. When I asked initially, the chat did not have Xanatos listed. Somehow, when they casted this entire movie,
that's weird.
They did not cast Xanatos. No, that's really not weird to me. Considering the way they're doing this casting, that was the one thing that like really stuck out to me. I was like, oh, okay. So we not gonna put him in the movie? Okay. I see how we do it. So I specifically said, give me 5 actors. We're not gonna play them games. But I said, what 5 actors would make a good live action David Xanatos? And again, it tells me that as an AI language model, I don't have a personal preference or identify the performance of individual actors. But based on popular choices among fans and casting rumors, here are 5 actors that may fit the role of David Xanatos in a live action adaptation of Gargoyles. They started off with Mark Strong. It's like, okay, I can see it. Made me think of Kick-Ass. They said Benedict Cumberbatch.
No.
Jude Law. Jason Isaacs.
Well, who's that?
Jason Isaacs. I didn't like Jason Isaacs. I did like Jude Law, though.
No.
I mean, based on the other casting they've done, it won't work.
Jason Isaacs definitely not.
I liked Mark Strong, though, because I thought of Kick-Ass, and I thought he was good for that. And, of course, just to round it out, they have Idris Elba as number 5.
I actually had Idris Elba, but I changed it. But he was someone I was considering for the role. I was originally considering him for Goliath, then I slid him over to Xanatos when I realized I didn't need an actual British person for this role. I switched to someone else. Okay. So you want to say Mark Strong? He don't have no hair.
I mean,
all you gonna be doing, look, he don't have no hair, and he not no wig wearing actor. Like there's a lot of like Sam Jackson. If he show up in a movie with a wig, you're not gonna look twice because you know Sam Jackson gonna show up with a wig. If this dude show up with a wig and a goatee with a ponytail wig,
yeah. I mean, it definitely was something that like kind of threw me off. But I like the character of Mark Strong. I like that actor, and the idea. I would love to We would have to be Jim Henson makeup like Dinosaurus TMT. Oh, okay. That could, yeah, we could probably work that way. I'm still thinking CGI is going to like really, really bring it up because at this point we got the budget for it. I don't know. I mean, like based on who they have there, did you see Jason Isaacs?
Yeah, absolutely not. I mean, I would say, I guess Jude Law would be the one I would be willing to most go with, or Idris Elba. I could see Jude Law, but even still, like,
I think based on this particular casting, actually, you know what? It can't be because they have Hudson cast. So it'll have to be Jude Law for this one. And Jude Law is somebody that you can like do hair and makeup and change his look.
Yeah. At least they put one black person in the billionaire role. For my, you want me to go or you want to go?
Oh no, you're after AI.
All right, so for mine, I was thinking Idris Elba, but then I changed my mind last minute. I thought about somebody who I needed somebody who kind of had that like polished feel where it's like you talk to them and it's like they're being cool, but you kind of just feel like it's something else. It's something else going on that you're not telling me. You being like duplicitous and snobby and kind of just somebody up on a high horse. You know what I mean? Somebody, bougie, but like has like an edge. Like I wanted to be somebody that's like you talking to the cops and you being all nice and stuff. Then when the cops turn around, you do the rock eyebrow or something like that to show like they don't even know. Like basically Kaiser Soze in a lot of ways.
I got you.
So I'm going with Sterling K. Brown.
I love it. I love it. That absolutely works because I immediately see him as the billionaire. Yo, welcome to the stream. Got your audio on, got your green screen up. What's going on, man? Uh-oh.
You
Fix
on
your
mute.
mic.
You on
Fix your
mute.
mic.
Or something.
It was definitely the mic.
There you go.
What's going on? Yeah, I ain't got no green screen. Yeah, it's just a blur.
Okay, got the blur effect on. No, you good? Cool. So we are fan casting Gargoyles, doing a live action Gargoyles. We both decided we were going to go with a motion cap CGI hybrid. And trying to change and put the small. There we go. Got the small weigh-in Wednesday up. We're going with the motion cap CGI hybrid, and we have cast Goliath, Eliza, Demona, and we've just done Xanatos. I'm about to give my pick for Xanatos. So if you want to take a moment, think on some characters, and we can maybe let you bring some in.
I did a little something.
Okay.
Probably ain't nowhere near what y'all is because I'm so way out of touch of Gargoyles. It's been a minute.
Like honestly, I tell you, I spent some days catching up. I should have been watching the episodes, but now I probably will go back and watch the whole series. Sure, it's on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
it is.
So for my Xanatos, I wanted somebody who, and honestly, I think I'm going to save this character for later as well. I wanted somebody that I know would look good in a suit, that would be believable as a billionaire, but also is believable as the bad guy. He has to be charming enough to make you think that he's not the bad guy, but when you see him, you absolutely know he's the bad guy. Zachary Quinto.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I I could see Rosario Dawson and Zachary Quinto having a conversation with one another. That going back and forth, the way that dynamic's gonna go down. She thinks she has the upper hand, and then he says something real. What was his name on Heroes?
Siler.
Siler. Right. Like, said, give us a real Siler reaction. Like, okay. Be cold and methodical like Spock. But then when he gets mad, like, I'm just like, oh man, Zachary Quinto would be awesome for that. And I kind of wanted the main villain to be somebody different. Somebody that I think needs a little bit more shine as a bad guy. Idris came to mind for a moment, but Idris did his bad guy turn in Hobbs and Shaw.
Talking about Superman? Black Superman? Yeah.
Right. When he was Hobbs and Shaw. But even then,
he was like, a bad guy in The Wire, technically.
Yeah.
He was a good bad guy in The Wire, too. I ain't gonna lie.
He ain't exactly the best guy in Luther. You know what I'm saying? He's a great guy in Luther, but he, like falls in that anti-hero area right there. So yeah, Zachary Quinto. Which leaves us with Hudson. Now, the AI actually had. Oh, wait, that's not the right one. Where is it? Live action Gargoyles. Yeah. They actually had Idris Elba in for Hudson.
I mean, I can see it, but
they also have Digimon Hansu as Goliath. That to me didn't work. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Those two, yeah, that doesn't work to me. But there again, if it's CGI and it's voice work, they can probably get around age up, age down as necessary. But I feel like that's going to be a weird dynamic on screen.
Yeah, I don't think Jamin Hansu has really the right baseline build for. He feels like slimmer and lankier. He doesn't feel as like boxy as. Right. So, I mean, I guess it just could work, but it would have to be like somebody much different in the Goliath role for this cast to really, really work. Like, I mean, I don't love the Jude Law, but that's the biggest miss has been the Goliath pick. So it kind of just makes the Hudson pick like maybe it should have been somebody older.
Right. Oh no, when I did another one, because after I decided that once I knew who I wanted my Demona to be, I was curious if I gave them a character, could they build out the right casting based on that? And when I said Demona as Rosario Dawson as Demona, and then had them like come up with casting, they put Morgan Freeman in as Hudson, but then they had The Rock as Goliath.
Stone by day, warriors by night.
So I was just like,
nah.
Yeah, I mean, it was actually that particular casting. Once I gave them Rosario Dawson, they switched the whole thing up, and I was like, can't nobody afford this movie. So that one to me was interesting. But so Hudson, who's your Hudson?
My Hudson is somebody who obviously like needed to be older than my Goliath, needed to be not necessarily past his prime, but kind of just beyond the BS. You know what I mean? Like he don't want to deal with the clan squabbles and all that kind of stuff. He's there for like kind of a mentorship role. So again, one is somebody who I've seen play that role to a main character before on screen. But also wanted somebody who could do the like comedic Scottish elements of it as well. And still kind of was in that same Shakespearean mold because, these are all my gargoyles who grew up together need to kind of have the same vibe in how they speak. So they all kind of, maybe like the younger ones, they didn't have that same vibe of like, we need to sound regal and Shakespearean and stuff. But I feel like, Hudson and Goliath kind of had that very mature relationship with one another. So I went with David Harewood, who you might know as Martian Manhunter from CW Supergirl.
Okay.
But he's got like a big, really long like stage career as well. And so that's kind of why I picked him. I just wanted that same, because the most what he's going to be doing is talking. Like if we keeping it a buck.
Right.
So I needed somebody who, like if Goliath is going to sound wise and authoritative and Shakespearean, I need somebody who at least going to sound like somebody who he would listen to.
That makes sense. I can, yeah. That makes sense.
And also he's done the superhero thing too, so he kind of knows what that entails.
Okay, that is a good point. I think he'll show up on set and be able to give a few tips and probably help your Goliath be more heroic. Be that mentor there. This is interesting because my Hudson, I did need somebody that was going to be older than Winston Duke. But given that it was going to be CGI, I kind of thought the same thing. Well, I can get away with a smaller age gap. It's not like it's father-son. We can age up the actor easier than we can age down. But I wanted someone who still looked like they could give you the business if it came down to it. Because as I was reading up on Hudson, I wanted a solid pick for Hudson. That's where I put Sterling K. Brown. I put Sterling K. Brown in as Hudson.
Oh, wow.
Because I felt like he would, again, kind of thinking of it just from the standpoint of like an Uncle Iroh, I wanted someone who, when they spoke, you might shut up and listen. He would be like no nonsense, but he still needed to be able to like light up the room when it wasn't heavy. You know what I'm saying? When they're not in the middle of battle, I need him to keep it light, keep it fun, keep it interesting. And Sterling seems like he would be the actor that could do that for this role. So, AI had an interesting movie. Jeff, almost. I thought for a moment you were going to put Will in as your Xanatos again.
No. You know what it is? I feel like Will doesn't have the. He doesn't. His energy is too not suave.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I need like more quiet strength in my Xanatos.
Cool and collected. No, I get it. I get it. I wanted quiet danger.
Right.
And you just know that if you have Will Smith in something, like there is no quiet danger. He's gonna be loud. He's gonna be goofy.
I got gargoyles. Like, no, man.
Right. He's gonna be all over the place.
Like Will Smith would have like an opening reception where people could come show up and watch the gargoyles like come to life for the first time.
Transform. See, but like as I was thinking about Zachary Quinto for Xanatos, it really helped me to like see your vision when you were casting him as M. Bison. Because I got to thinking, and it's almost like that same kind of character. And Bison still got to be able to put hands on you, so it fits a little different there. Yeah, I still got to say though, I really like your Goliath and Demona pick. So Let's get this image popped up so we can see this thing. Where's my temp folder? There it is. Boom. I can find it. Open. That is. All right. So DJ Fat Snacks, you said you did a little something. What you got? Who would you bring in as your Goliath?
All right, so quick choice was because I've been watching Superman and Lois recently. I would probably say a Chad Coleman.
Okay.
It's kind of weird, but at first when I heard y'all were doing it, I missed a part of the CGI. So I just kind of went with voices and just how people act. So mine's is gonna be completely weird.
No. I mean, and that's the thing. We actually specify like the direction, and see, like with mine, my main character for my movie is Demona. So the whole movie kind of centers around Rosario Dawson's character. As a result, I kind of changed out who the other people were going to be to make it fit her casting. The AI initially did not even put Xanatos in the movie, so I had to go back and ask it who it wanted to be, like who would be a good Xanatos. It gave us 5 picks because, as Jeff and I kind of look at we had to pick for them because they didn't have a good pick. They had an okay pick, but they used the same actor twice, so it wasn't gonna work. So if you like, you said so, yours is yours going to be animated?
It's probably going to be animated, yeah.
Okay, so if
some characters could go both ways, but yeah.
Well, I mean, in the idea of it being live action, if your character is completely CGI and you just need the voice, then it's completely CGI and you just need the voice, because you have The Hobbit, Desolation of Smaug, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
you got a big ass dragon, Benedict Cumberbatch is doing the voice for that, and it's just voice work.
Nah, he was body rolling on the couch too. I seen the video.
I seen the video too, but you know what I'm saying? Like the mocap they did for that. I think sometimes in order for, like, even when you look at some voice actors or whatnot, when you see their behind the scenes, you can't make certain sounds unless you are doing the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I think to really like get into character, sometimes they get in there, they do that sort of thing. And I think that's what that was for him, to like really envision what it would be like to sound like that dragon. Doesn't mean it's always got to go down like that. So,
yeah,
it can happen a little different. But if you want to do, live action, completely CGI, and these be voice characters, then yeah, that's the stipulation of your casting. So it's, So what you got? So we got your Goliath, and you said that was a Chad who?
Chad Coleman. Chad Coleman.
All right.
He was in Arrow. He was in All American, and Superman and Lois, and Walker Dead. The Tyree from Walker Dead.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And he's in the Orville. He's like a recurring character in that show.
Yeah. Okay. Got a nice little solid resume here. And you know what? As soon as you said Tyree, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that is the voice there. All right, cool. So, Elisa. Who you got for Elisa?
Elisa. So going back to the same show, Superman and Lois. Lois.
No, I hate her voice.
Hell no, man. In the stream.
I'm just gonna mute his mic.
What? No,
okay, make that make sense for me. Like, why was that your pick?
Okay, so again, I was watching you guys, and I was trying to catch up on Gargoyles, just kind of like getting the memory, like who are they fan casting?
Okay,
and I was just looking at people who fit the role too at the same time. So I was like, okay, she kind of looked like that character, and that's it.
Elisa's not white though.
No, she's actually not white at all. She's half Indian, half Nigerian, I think it is, or something like that.
So you can see that in the cartoon. No.
Yes. They literally talk about it. There's episodes where they go back to the reservation where her father grew up. They go to like this African tribe where like
okay.
Yeah, it's like part of the show.
I was about to say they really leaned into that thing. Crazy.
They were like, she is not, I repeat, she is not white.
But
because we're not about to let this white lady fall in love with no monster on TV. Open your third eye.
Just like when I asked the AI, like, how you cast everybody except a David Xanatos. Really? Okay, so Elizabeth Tulloch.
Oh, I thought it was Betsy.
Bitsy, yeah, that's short for Elizabeth.
Okay, we can scratch that one off.
No, it's up there.
I mean, and again,
it's on the graphic.
Given that you are suggesting her for the voice work,
is she gonna be CGI too?
I told you I looked at her and I'm like, okay, she could probably play that role. Then I looked at who I had her with, and I was like, oh, I don't know.
I mean, honestly, you know the funny part though, on that show, since she's with what's the guy, Steele, Wale Parks. I mean,
yeah, they did kind of play that up a little bit in that.
Yeah, they like really leaned into that. You know what? You probably would have been safer if you'd have picked Lana. Lana would have been the better pick.
Yeah.
For your Eliza. But okay, that was your pick. So who you got for Demona?
Quick fast. Okay, quick fast in a hurry. That's what that was. Okay.
Okay, you get that pass. You get that. Don't make that mistake twice now. Who you got for Demona?
Zazie Beetz.
That's a good pick.
I could dig it. I was like, you know what? I could dig it.
Yeah, I definitely could see her going crazy on some people.
Especially in the season before the third season of Atlanta, the last episode? Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. You know what? I can see her taking out Bitsy Tulloch too. Yeah. Bitsy don't want no smoke. Okay.
Well, you want to hear what my first Goliath choice was? It was Gene Carcillo. Giancarlo Esposito. Yeah, there you go. But I was like, oh, he's a little bit too old for this situation.
I have a role for him in mind, but it's not none of the main characters.
Is he gonna be like Pup?
He would be Owen, Xanatos' like little stuffy assistant.
Okay.
Who turns out to be like
the 1,000-year-old magician mage guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, who's next? Who y'all got up next?
Xanatos.
David Xanatos.
All right, this is probably unknown. Nathan Parsons.
Nathan Parsons.
He's in the Roswell remake.
I can see that. He got a weird side smile, but
yeah,
when he wears a goatee, I can see it.
Yeah, when he was he did an evil version of himself in that show. And I was like, okay, I can kind of see him playing a little I'm your friend, but not really type of situation. Try to get him in close before he takes him out.
Who was he on Once Upon a Time?
I need to look that up. I don't remember.
I forgot.
Right. I'm like, wait a minute.
As soon as you said that, I was like, I remember, but I can't remember exactly who he was on that.
Hold on. He was on Once Upon a Time?
Yeah. Damn, I can't remember who he was in that. I'm about to find out right now.
Hansel. I don't remember that season. That was the weird. That was the weird season where they were doing like non-Disney stories. Like, nobody want to see this. Somebody want to see Dr. Frankenstein on Once Upon a Time.
Oh, during that Grimm season.
Yeah.
It was like getting off track there. I'm sitting here like, I don't remember him at all. My wife would probably know who that was. I'm like, okay.
Nah, I've watched all the Once Upon a Times, even the Alice in Wonderland one, which was actually surprisingly good.
So now you're telling me I gotta go back and watch this crap.
Watch what crap?
The Once Upon a Time Alice in Wonderland.
Bruh, if you like the original Once Upon a Time, you will like the Alice in Wonderland one, because I think it does a good job of like tapping into like what the original Once Upon a Time was all about, which was like the way we think about those classic fairy tales is not necessarily the full story behind why all of those things happened. And so it's an interesting and weird like retelling, like basic. I mean, I won't ruin it, but it's kind of like Alice goes to Wonderland and nobody believes her when she gets back, and she's like an adult now, and all these things happen to her in Wonderland, and she's been trying to like find a way back, and then like something's happening in Wonderland where Jafar is trying to amass all this power by finding like all these genies, and she has to go back and save like her boyfriend, etc. And it sounds crazy and convoluted, but
in the show with the other characters from Once Upon a Time.
You know what it's like? It's like, how Once Upon a Time was like everything was happening in the real world that we were seeing, but then the flashbacks will always be in like the Enchanted Forest or something like that. It's kind of showing the back
storybook.
Yeah. And so that backstory fed the modern plot. Yeah.
Oh.
So like this in original Once Upon a Time, the fantasy stories were the flashbacks that fed the modern day storytelling. But in this one, it's like the real world flashbacks feed into the fantasy storytelling, because most of what happens in like Wonderland.
Okay. Yeah, because I had watched that. Well, I think the episode where they kind of crossed it over, where the so-called backdoor pilot that they put on Once Upon a Time, and then I watched like maybe the first 2 episodes of that show, and I was like,
it gets better. Like, you just got to get past the CGI being terrible. Like, I just accepted that it's gonna be bad.
That's true. All right. Let's see. Okay, who? Yeah, Nathan Person is my Xanatos.
And then that's gonna leave you with a Hudson.
Okay, Hudson. That was the first person I cast because I wasn't thinking that y'all were doing the CG zone, so I was going solely off of voice and just kind of like a character, a guy who gives wisdom in real life shows, well, live action shows. And Barry Corbin.
Barry Corbin?
Yeah. Whitey from One Tree Hill. There's a couple. Wasn't he in? No, he wasn't in
that. He looked like the Quaker Oats man.
The diabetes.
And just like the things he did in that show in One Tree Hill, because he was like the coach of the basketball team, and he gave wisdom to like the adults and the kids. I could kind of see that happening in a Gargoyles, especially for that character.
He does actually look a lot like Wilford Brimley, though. Like,
diabetes.
It's funny because I'm looking at like a lot of his. Oh, you know what? And he's one of those people that like. He's definitely like a back. What do they call him?
Working actor.
That's it. A man has been in like so much stuff. You see him and it's like, oh yeah, I know him. You can't ever remember what movie you saw him from because he's always like in the background of a bunch of movies.
Yep. Let's see who else I got.
Wow, and of course, like looking at it, yeah, he been working for a minute, so.
He in his 80s, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you got an Urban Cowboy, Lonesome Dove. But then it's funny because like you see some of these other ones, and it's like, hell, he's on Tulsa King. He's on Yellowstone.
Yeah, when you said One Tree Hill, I was like, dang, I never watched that, so I didn't know he was in that.
Oh, you talking about me going to watch Alice? Go watch that. But he probably didn't like any of that CW stuff, huh?
No. The CW stuff was that CW era of things was when I was in my more militant phase in life. I just didn't want to see a bunch of like white kids crying. Like when I was in college, One Tree Hill was out, and like what's that one show? Everwood. And I remember one time I came home, I was like coming home to my dorm, and like we had co-ed dorms, and it was basically like a bunch of white girls on my floor, and they would get together and watch Everwood every week. And every week I walk by that room and they be in there crying. I'm like, why do y'all do this to yourselves? All y'all do is cry over this show every single week. But it was must-see TV for the white girls, and shout out to them. They cool, but I couldn't get down with the TV viewing habits that they had because they be watching some whack stuff sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. So this will be a, you know what, you could probably do like a, remember that Final Fantasy movie that came out that was all CG animation?
Yeah. Yeah.
You can do something like that. And I mean, your voice cast, like technically, since you did it as a voice cast, that would be the way to do it. And even
so then you'd probably have to tell some like new story. You couldn't do like just a CGI animation version of an animated story that's already been animated.
Well, I'm trying to think of that like crossover animation where it's like all mocap animation.
Like Beast Wars.
Something like that. Something like that. That really weird looking motion cap. Okay, well, Mark, I still appreciate you playing, man. You gotta, you know what? Even if you just did a reboot, you're not doing a live action movie. You're rebooting the cartoon, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say honestly, from yours, Zazie Beetz is a good pick.
Yeah, she fits in, and she does fit in as a Demona. Honestly, I would probably even be okay with Barry Corbin. Nathan, what was it? Parsons.
Yep.
He could probably work as well. Honestly, my only issue really is Tulak. She got to go.
Yeah, in a way.
You recap. Honestly,
she's not about to do this. She's not about to do this on 2 shows.
I mean,
and
so far, a lot of people say she's the best Lois that we've gotten in live action.
Better than Margot Kidder. I don't watch Superman and Lois, so I can't comment on her performance.
That's why I'll be real. That's why they got a show. It wasn't just about your boy.
But I'm gonna be real. Part of the reason why I don't watch the show is because just every time I just be looking at, I don't vibe with her for some reason.
You know what? I'm not.
It's not believable.
Thank you. Okay, cool. I don't have to say nothing else. What? I agree.
It's not.
It's a little bit believable.
It's not believable. No, it's not. No, it's not.
Cool. I don't even have to say nothing. Okay, folks, that's our show. We're not gonna get into that one. If anybody wants to join our Patreon, you can probably hop on and hear the behind the scenes. I don't even have a Patreon, but pay me or just message me and we'll talk about it. Yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of Bitsy Tulak as Lois Lane. I will say, like, as far as the show goes, she works fine for the show, but it gets deeper than that because I'm not a fan of Lois Lane. Period.
I got you.
But she definitely doesn't work. And
I mean, Lois Lane also did blackface back in the day. Don't forget when she got in that machine and she turned black for a day, so she could cover a news story.
Yeah.
And then basically at the end asked Superman, "Would you still love me if I was black?" And he was basically like, "Yeah, because I'm an alien."
Right.
All right, dog.
Yeah, they slipped up right there. It's cool. But he also, like, got beat up by Muhammad Ali, so they thought they made up for it. This has been FanCastIt. This was Gargoyles. We casted Gargoyles. As always, I can't say as always. As we did last time, I will be posting this image in our chat, and you can come back and let us know which of these movies you'd be interested in watching. Are you interested in watching Mark's reboot of the animated series? Did the AI actually do a decent job with casting? They didn't do horrible, but they could have done better. Jeff, I feel like once again, Jeff took the time to sit down and really cast this, and I swear I'm gonna watch one of his movies one day. And honestly, I feel like just because I know Jeff is gonna come with some fire, I try to do a better job and make some better picks, and not just the people I want to see. I take time, I research the roles now, and I think who could do this, who could do that. I have a whole method now, and I feel like I got a pretty damn good cast myself.
No, I mean, I'm gonna say this. I like your casting. Obviously, I have my own agenda when I do my casting that I'm holding myself to. But
cool.
I think as far as like what you put together, it definitely works. I mean, I think all your casting is very, very strong. My question is, I wonder, I haven't seen Rosario Dawson in a lot of roles where she's gotten like big, you know what I mean? Like I feel like Damona has like elements. I think she definitely can get kind of that pensiveness, the internal dialogue, like all that. Like I definitely 100% see that. And I mean, Diane Guerrero, I think she's like a good actress. It would be a good little like, something to pop her off with. Put her in that red jacket and see what happens.
Exactly. Red jacket, blue jeans.
But she wouldn't be my first call. I feel like the studio already know that first call got to be Z.
I mean, if it's coming out of Disney, you know what I'm saying? Like Disney's funding the project, so it makes sense that they're gonna lean towards in-house, and that relationship is already there. So I can't disagree.
This needs to be a baby comeback moment. Like once you're done with Dune, like that's cool and all. Dune is great. Desert it up, have fun. But once you're done with Dune and once you're done doing all the little drugs on Euphoria, come back. Let's do something special.
Got something for you. And I could easily see them saying, we wrote it especially for you.
Mm-hmm. That's why she's the most famous person in my movie. It's her. Because if you watch the show, a lot of times, until the 4th season, when they get into the Goliath Chronicles, a lot of it is very much told from Elisa's point of view, because she's the one who is setting the tone for helping the gargoyles understand the modern world that they live in. So, her voice, her voice is really, really important. You know what I mean? And her ability to be charismatic and guide the watcher into like this world, but also guide like these other characters in this world too. To me, just like makes a lot of sense.
If you get a chance, did you watch Doom Patrol?
I have not. I need to. I need to finish Titans first, and then I'm gonna go watch Doom Patrol.
Yeah, I think now that have they?
Yeah, everything's canceled.
No, I know everything's canceled, but I'm like, did they? How many episodes are left on Titans?
It's 2, I think.
2 left.
Hold on, don't.
I don't know. I'm waiting until they all come out, and then I'm
that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing, because since I know this is going to be the end of it, I'm like, you know what? I got plenty of other stuff to watch. We did the Little Brother Blood part. I was like, okay, let's pause it right there. I'll come back and I'll just finish it out. And I watched the trailer for the last half, and I was like, okay, yeah. But much like you, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna wait. I just want to see the whole thing. I just want to see the whole thing. Sit down, take me a Sunday or something, and just sit back, watch the whole thing, and enjoy it.
Actually, it's one more episode.
Okay, so I thought we were close. Actually, I thought this was the last, or this coming episode was going to be the last episode. So
let me check that real quick.
All I know is It's just better to be good, James Gunn.
Okay.
Thursday. Thursday is.
Okay. That's what I thought. The next episode will be the last episode. So this weekend, my thought, may have some time while I'm out cooking because I gotta do a little something on the grill for the wife for Mother's Day. So early happy Mother's Day to all the geeks out there and all the ladies in your lives, that sort of thing. And all you lady geeks out there, happy Mother's Day to you if you happen to be a mother.
Yes, thank you for birthing future geeks.
Yep.
Got to keep the geek populace going. Raise them right. This has been FanCastIt. We appreciate you being here with us. Make sure to click the QR code there in the corner. That'll take you to everywhere you can find us and all our socials. That'll take you directly to our Facebook group, our YouTube page, our Twitch, etc., etc. For DJ Fat Snacks. Oh, before we go, DJ Fat Snacks, you got some stuff popping off. Where can they find you?
All socials, DJ Fat Snacks. Got 2 new YouTube pages. DJ Fat Snacks, Snack Cat. No, you got me saying Cast Scott.
Well, you were on FanCastIt, but you have so one is your game.
One is a gaming YouTube channel, and then I have another one where I do a lot of reviews and stuff like that. I'm just getting started, so trying to pop it off. Okay, also, cool. I'm doing my Twitch page, and yeah, that's it.
All right, that's what's up. I found out about it because I follow the TikTok, and of course I see all the gaming, sniping, and everything, and all the kills you be doing on that. And just, excuse me, all the gaming you be doing there, and that's enjoyable. So of course I may have to check out. I don't actually watch like a lot of gameplay footage. I typically watch gameplay footage when it's something I'm trying to debate whether or not I'm gonna buy. Then I like this, I may watch somebody play a little bit. Some stuff I don't need to watch because I'm gonna buy it anyway. Jedi Survivor, I ain't gotta watch somebody play. I'm gonna buy that. Like, it's not a question to buy it. So I don't need to watch it because then I'll just be spoiling stories. So
yeah,
and that's the one you're doing right now, right? Yeah. See,
and Friday I'll be doing Legend of Zelda.
See, now that one I may watch. That one I may watch and just see if we're gonna hook the boys up with it. But Jeff, I know you busy. Anything else you need to announce? Anything that's coming out that we need to know about?
Nope.
All right. Well, make sure you hit jpnt17.com. Check out some artwork. Get you a custom commissioned piece of art up there. He's got some really cool stuff. Got some. There's a poster you have that I have to have that poster. It's the one, the Afro Picks, the DC Afro Picks. I'm gonna have that.
I just finished the Star Trek one too that I gotta put up on the site.
Okay, but yeah, there's a DC Afro Picks and a Marvel Afro Picks, and I'm like, I want that. And I got some other stuff I'm gonna probably commission for you because I got some ideas and some things that I want to fill in some of these gaps I have on the wall. But this has been there's one and two. It's not a lot of gaps, but I'm gonna redo some of it. I moved some stuff around because. Like now that my TikTok is trying to do a little better, I'm like trying to find my spot where I'm going to record. And so I moved some of you can't see them now, but I used to have those 2 pop figures there.
Okay.
Were right there. There's, of course, my Mace Windu lightsaber and some other pop figures. Everything on that shelf is, where is it? There. Everything on that shelf is pop figures. Those are like a small collection of DVDs. That's probably going to be a video I do real soon. We're going to do a walkthrough. Just check out the Geek Den. But that'll be later. So if you click that QR code, you can find the TikTok and you can watch that video. But for Jeff, DJ Fat Snacks, and myself, Sam, we are Grown A Geeks. We appreciate you being here, but we are out of here. Peace.